You know, when Dolly, my wife, and I first married, for 3 years we didn't have children. I was in school, and Gerry and Jessica, they blessed us with being able to babysit G regularly. And a lot of our memories are of G during that time period when he was little. And the one thing that I know a lot of you have heard someone say some really nice things about G, but one thing that really stands out is how respectful G was, and how he just wasn't a loud or obnoxious kid or something. He was just very respectful and loving. And you know, that guy that you knew was a 20-year-old who worked at, had a job and drove around in a white truck. Well, that was the same kid we knew when he was little. He was so respectful. Such a loving kid. Some of the memories I have of him specifically, I used to come home and G, for some reason, he was one of those kids that lost his 2 front teeth early in life, So he'd always greet me, and I'd always tell him, "You sound like a cartoon," but we'd always joke around. And one of my favorite things to do with G was, mind you, he was a little guy and no teeth. I would grab his knee and I would tickle him, and he would say, "Okay, Uncle Dan, it's okay," and he'd be squirming all over the place, and he would always burst out in that laughter. And I don't know if any of you have experienced that laughter around G. It was an infectious laugh that just, you had to laugh along with him. That's how I remember G. A couple years ago, G and Joe and Gerry came back to Palm Springs and visited, and he stayed with us for a week. So surprised to see this, almost 6 foot tall, 17-year-old in my house that, I used to tickle and laugh with, when he was 3 or 4 years of age. One of the things I decided to do is he was, everyone who knew G knows he loves video games. I mean, this kid is just, he was like my son. They love video games. Well, one day I was home and he was in the living room with my sons playing video games. And I decided to be nostalgic and unexpectedly grab his knee and start tickling him like, when he was little. And boy, that was a scary moment, because this is a big kid and he's squirming around like a swamp alligator or something, and arms and legs flailing everywhere. And I think he almost hit me with a video controller. But what came out of him was that laugh again. "Okay, Uncle Dennis." That laughter. We're going to miss that laughter. When I spoke to Joe and I got the news, heartbreaking news, they had one request, that I would speak to the family and let them know what had happened. It's a very big task. We have a very large family, Half of them are Filipino, the other half are Hispanic. I used to tell G, you're a mutt. You're either a Mexipino or a Filipiner. One or the other. I think, one of the reasons why Gerry and Joe asked me to come up here is I spent a lot of time around this book, got a degree in it, figured it had to be easy. There's only one book to study in college and you get a degree. But one thing I know about this book, it says that, for one, it all sums up to God loves you. And the second thing is time is short. It describes your life as a vapor. It will come and go. What you do in that time period is important. And I think if you really want to honor G, honor his memory, be kind to one another, just as he was. I don't know if you have a family member that you have a grudge against, or maybe a friend you had a falling out with, but make time to make amends, because time is short. Time is like a vapor. It will come and go. And what you don't want to do is stand at the end of your life and have a lot of regrets. Make amends now. Love your family. I teach students back in California, and I tell them, you can tell what kind of person you are when you walk into a room. Are people glad to see you, or are they glad to see when you leave? It tells a lot about a person. And I say that in kindness to urge you, in memory of G, be kind to one another, love one another. Maybe you have differences. So what? Life is short. Get over the differences. Love your family and your friends. I know I said a lot. There had to have been a lot said for that young man. He was a great young man. And we loved him dearly. And we hurt and are torn up just as you are. And I'd like to invite, his brother and some others to come up and say some things. This young man we're going to miss. We love G so much.
Growing up with a little brother 7 years younger, we had a pretty typical brotherhood. I would help him with his homework. I would cook for him when I was babysitting. And we would always argue about what to watch on TV. But he was the baby and he always won. But the thing that really made my little brother special, what really set him apart, was his energy. He was always such a happy person and always so full of energy. And, sorry. And I can remember him always smiling, even when he didn't have those front teeth. And he was always making new friends, and always waving at people he didn't even know. And he just had this infectious joy that was really almost tangible. You could feel it. And it was always funny for me to hear people talk about the dark cloud that they thought was following them through their life. Because I didn't have a dark cloud. I had a little brother that was my little ray of sunshine. And even though the world's going to be a little bit darker without him, I know that he would want all of us to keep smiling. He would want us to take his place and spread that infectious happiness with those of us around us. So, on behalf of my little brother, I want to say thank you all for being here. And let's keep his memory alive in our hearts and in our souls, and that little ray of sunshine will always be with us. Thank you.
Out of the 3 children that I helped raise, he was probably my favorite. I was blessed with him, and I'll always remember him for the good he was. For those of you who do not, or did not, have the privilege of meeting him, and you wonder what kind of a young man he was, all you have to do is look at his father. tell that. He was kind, he was loving, and he always tried to draw people into his realm of friends.
Well, at Liberty, we have 1,900 students. And I think the administration and most teachers knew who Gerry was. Not because he was in the penalty box or in the detention room or anything like that, ever. It's because of his kindness and his smile and his desire to want to say hi to the teachers. He was a student, he was a young man who, even when I've seen him the last year or so, I live in town here, my kids have grown up here, I'll see him at one of his jobs. He would see me before I saw him, and he would always come say hello. And I love that about young students and young children. That's a great quality he had. Didn't wait for the adults to talk to him. Respectfully came up and smiled. They wanted to reach you when you were there. And I'm fortunate for that. Too bad.
I will not forget the hats that Gerry would wear to school every once in a while, or the coats that he might walk into the room wearing. He always had a presence about him when he walked into the room. And he really didn't care. Sorry. He didn't care much what his peers thought. I mean, some of them, yes, his friends he cared. I know he loved his friends. But he didn't care so much about the attitudes that other kids had about him. And I envy him for that. I'm almost 45 years old and I still care way too much what everybody thinks of me. But I envy him for that. He was able to walk around that school knowing he was a good kid, knowing he helped other kids, knowing he was there to help anybody who ever wanted it. He didn't care what those other people thought about him, and I envy him for that. And I will miss that about him. Somebody did an amazing job raising him. And I'm sorry that he has gone so soon.
Because one of the things Gerry and I would tease Gerry about, of course he would tease me. He had the coolest hair in the school. and I don't. And to his big brother, you have his cool hair as well, and I'm sure it comes from his father as well. But I wish I could have that back. But that's one thing Gerry and I would tease each other about. And that was fun.
Hi guys, I'm Gerry's other brother, Steven. I don't have much to say because there's a lot that I want to say, that's most of it. But I love every moment that I had with my little brother, and I wish I could have a million more, and I'd give up anything for that. I'm sure all of you would too. Some of the best times were hanging out with him because me and him weren't that far apart in age, and we had a lot in common. I feel bad that I wasn't here. Thank you all for being here and sharing his life, because I know that, as I'm sure as you guys know, he brought a lot of light and love into your life. You guys probably made him the happiest person ever. And I thank you all for that.
I just wanted to share the moment I had with him when he was little. Gerry, Jessica, and she came to visit me in San Diego. We're all sitting in my living room, and I love bubbles even till this day. So I pulled out some bubbles and started blowing them, and he started laughing like a little machine gun. And the look on his face was, I've never heard that before. And yes, his laugh, that infectious laugh, will always be in my head.
You're disgusting. I just have to share this one incident that happened when he was just a boy. I just came to Palm Springs to visit them with my other cousin. And we were just around talking, girly talk. And G was just on the side playing. And out of the blue, he said to me, "Auntie, I like your nails. It matches your color of your lips. You look nice." And I looked at my other cousin and I said, "Can you believe that? 7-year-old just gave me a compliment." That's how nice and sweet he was. So everybody's really gonna miss him. We love you, Gerry. We were here for you. You know that. The whole family. We're really sorry. We're lost. But thanks everyone for being here. And Gerry would really appreciate your support. Thank you.
On behalf of my brother, on behalf of G, the kind words. It's pretty obvious what kind of young man we had with us. He was inspiring. Whether it was a school of 1,900 kids or individually, he was an inspirational kid. If there's anything you can walk away with today, just remember, inspire others. Learn to love others, no matter what differences. Just as G did. Obviously, he loved the masses. You know, it's very evident in a lot of your faces here who were touched by his young life. I know eventually we'll go back to California and some of you will travel back to the state or city you're from. But I just ask that you, I know from the crowd that's here, my brother's in good hands. And Gerry, there's so much love around you. Joe and Jessica, Jesse and Stephen. A lot of people love G. We'll never forget. Joe's asked me to read something before we leave, and I'd like to do that now with respect. Psalms 23 is the Psalm of David. Many know it. Many of you may have grown up citing this, but if you'd like to cite it, or if you'd like to silently say it, I'm going to read along, and please join me. The Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. He lets me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. He renews my strength. He guides me along right paths, bringing honor to his name, even when I walk through the darkest valley. Once again, thank you so much for being here and sharing this time in honor of G. Gerry, we love you. We'll be here for you. And to conclude this, if you'd like to speak to Gerry, give him a hug, you know, maybe share stories with one another about G. Some of you may have not come up here because, you know, you're not accustomed to public speaking or just too shy or whatever the matter. But spend some time with each other and talk about what a great kid this was. We're going to miss him so dearly. Thank you, everyone.